So you're going to be seeing Alibaba a lot in the news today, and you're going to be seeing a lot of hot takes on this topic. So let's discuss this and break it down. First of all, when you hear anything about Alibaba and its releases, what you're going to hear about is this headline: Alibaba releases AI model it says surpasses DeepSeek. And then, so this is the Reuters article. This is the main article, right? And it's just, they released their model, nothing at all about the model, right? And then, so I do my due diligence within this. I go to the Qwen website. I take a look at their release article of this as opposed to the Reuters article. I take a look, and they've got some performance benchmarks. Cool. They say it performs well, and it's like the best. And then that's it. And then they have Qwen Chat API, a demo, and their Discord, and that's literally it. And then I go to their blog, and then that's it. So I have this moment at my disposal the same information that everyone else does, which is 561 words in total, their press release announcing this model. And that is the literal all that there is to go off of as far as information regarding this model. I mean, this model might be the best thing since sliced bread. It might employ Transformers 3 for all I know. I don't know a single thing about this model because there's nothing about it, right? Like, I don't know the size of it. I don't know what their training process was. I don't know what data set they use. I don't, like, nothing, because there's literally nothing about this model. Even when a typical closed source model gets released, you have some information about the training process, the back end, something. This, I literally have a 561 word blog article. But that's the point where we're at with this hype cycle. Right? And it's like, I think this hype cycle has kind of come full circle with AI. And so it was, rah, 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 AI can do no wrong. And then now it's rah, 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 OpenAI, it can do everything wrong, and the Chinese companies can do no wrong. It's kind of where this is at. And then so you're just seeing, taking advantage of that, right? That's what I'm assuming Alibaba is doing within this announcement. Alibaba is doing what anyone in this position would do, right? If you're giving them free reign to say, hey, if we just put out a press release and say all of a sudden we're kicking the booty off of every other model out there, and then you just run off of that with 561 word blog article and no other proof whatsoever, then why would they not do that, right? And it just, it fascinates me about these things. Like going to like DeepSeek and all of these models and what we're seeing and what people are so hyped up about are the same exact things that I've been researching, exploring, been trying to tell people about for a year, 2+ years. Some people have been researching these things for 20+ years, right? Nothing within this is new. There's not a new innovation that people are researching along these lines that people haven't figured out. Very simplistically, I can give you the full model breakdown as to what everyone is working within this equation, right? Every single person working on LLM models, every single company, it all boils down to this particular blueprint here. If you're working with other technology outside of LLM models, then that would be a different story, right? But there's so few companies that are focused on like the outside areas. We're not talking about them, right? Like, so like, I don't know, when you talk about like scientific searches for life, you always have to narrow the criteria and assume that it's carbon-based life forms, right? So we'll do the same thing here. We'll assume that everyone is talking about transformers and the transformer architecture itself, and then they're making improvements on, or iterative improvements on, the transformers architecture, right? So we'll narrow our search for life to that. Within this, every single company, every single person operates off of this same exact equation. And it's like, the most important part of this is on the right side here. where you've got kind of the full flow, right? Where you've got your input layer that starts with embeddings, which then gets passed to a masked multi-headed attention layer. Then you add layer normalization and dropout. Then you have your additional pass through your multi-head attention layer, add more layers and dropout. Then you have a linear pass, more layer and dropout, another linear pass, your softmax function, which is like that S curve function, and then your output probabilities, your final output. And that's kind of where everything, this full equation is what everyone has to operate off of, right? So like, how do you train the model? Like, what do you reward the model off of? It's that softmax function, gradient descent. Everyone is operating off of this same equation, right? And then so what's the weakest part of this equation? What would I change? What would I fix within this equation? There's only a few levers that you can pull. Number one, you could try to pull that softmax lever. That's the biggest one. That would be the holy grail. If you can pull that, that's big news. But most people aren't pulling that lever. They're pulling the lever inside of that gray box that we're looking at here on the right-hand side, right? They're doing things like they're adding some more noise, adding another noise layer, adding noise elsewhere, making changes to that multi-head attention layer, different things within that, right? And then so these are all iterative things, and these are all known. There's about like 500 research papers that come out per day, on a weekly basis. And then on a weekly basis, out of those 500, a lot of them are making advancements or talking about these things, right? Like as far as the training processes that we can do, how we can change these equations out, what I can do to that softmax equation, what I can do with the attention mechanisms, all of that is bounded by physics, math, and this same exact equation that everyone else is faced with, right? And I can tell you 100%, with 1,000,000% certainty at this point, like no one is going to take this equation here and make surprising breakthroughs with this. Like no one is, like if there's a surprising breakthrough that comes out within AI, like a shocking revolutionary breakthrough outside of the hype cycle at this point, it's going to be something that doesn't utilize this technology and what we're looking at here for kind of the industry. And as it's been set up to this point, and as you are slowly starting to realize, is that, hey, maybe this isn't the actual way. Maybe we shouldn't have invested every single freaking egg into this one basket. But that's exactly what people did. And then they're starting to figure out, like, this basket is kind of bad. There's not a lot of levers in this one basket, and there's other baskets that actually exist. But this is the one that we've built up, right? Like it's like the format wars where you had a bunch of entrepreneurs come into this technology, and then they thought that they were going to entrepreneur out AI just like they would everything else, right? Like that's exactly what happened up front. Oh, we're gonna throw money at these things. We're gonna steamroll. We're gonna break things, and we're just gonna move fast and break stuff, and that's how we're gonna operate. Well, welcome to the real world, bros. This isn't your average technology that you're just moving fast and breaking stuff with. You're dealing with physics, and then you're dealing with the bumping into the laws of physics, bumping into the laws of mathematics, and moving fast and breaking stuff doesn't move past the laws of physics, bro. Doesn't break that wall. And then so like you can't change that equation, and then like people are just they're so set on this mindset they're going to figure it out, like they're not there. It's physics. This equation is bounded by physics and by this softmax equation that you're looking at here. Like the softmax equation, like that's the literal entirety of this process, right? Like that's 90% of this. And like knowing that and knowing that lever, you have so few levers within this that you can pull overall. That's what people don't understand. People are expecting magic fairy dust and Hogwarts to pop out of this, like OpenAI or like all the magnificent 70s tech companies, that they're producing magic fairy dust out of this. You don't get magic fairy dust out of this equation. You get what you get out of this equation. What you get out of this equation is exactly what you've invested into it at this point, which is as long as you know the mathematics, it's an even playing field. And that's the bottom line, right? Like Sam Altman was completely wrong. Like he sold you the entrepreneur side of this equation when he said that someone like me can get knocked out by a bigger company. It's all the mathematics, right? It's all like a bigger team within this is disadvantageous, is the bottom line, right? Because of the fact that like I can move fast and break stuff within the mathematics faster than your team can. Like that's kind of the bottom line, right? Like if you want to take that approach, I can take your own logic and do it faster within this framework than you can because you're bogged down by your team. And like so there's no advantage within this framework that the typical entrepreneur has, and that's the bottom line. Like that, and there's nothing that's going to change that equation. And this equation has, I mean, honestly and flat out, been built out from the ground up. You have people like me that have known this equation flat out. I mean, I have look at my GitHub repository releases. I open source release every single thing. I have what like 90 plus repositories, and I'm just one person within this, right? I look at it up front in the same way that an entrepreneur would. Like, and then so I look at it like, okay, what would you utilize to kind of create a monopoly within this? And then I open sourced that 2 years ago. I mean, that's just I like flat out. Sorry, like people have gone through this entirety of this equation. We went through this with the internet before, right? Like, what happens if we just sleep on this? And then so like, people aren't going to do that. Like fool me once, okay. This isn't going to be the internet 2.0. It's not going to happen. The framework is already built out, and as you're seeing, the typical tricks that people are trying to use, it's already putting them on the back foot. Like I mean, look at the OpenAI situation right now, right? Like their tactic right now is they're trying to threaten to sue DeepSeek. I mean, that's the most hilarious outcome out of this that I could possibly think of. Like, how much A do they have on their face as a result of this? Like, I don't understand how people didn't see this coming, but that's the equation overall. And that's kind of what we're looking at. This is a breakdown of this mathematical equation and a breakdown of the hype, right? So I kind of covered a lot in this video, but hope you like this type of content. And if you do, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.